everybody, welcome to Raising Vibrations Astrology, and today we're going to be discussing the Uranus retrograde, and I'm just going to be sharing with you some of the thoughts that I have around this energy, what has changed for me in terms of the most recent, or how retrograde has actually manifested itself in my own life, and yeah, just sharing ideas around what I think is, or what I feel is essential for us to really understand when it comes to any retrograde movement, and in particular an archetype in itself like Uranus. So I hope that you found the thumbnail to this video in some way, shape or form intriguing. I specifically created with the intention to show you what I felt inside about Uranus's retrograde motion. For me personally, a lot of you that might be coming to this video for the first time are looking for a way or a type of astrology where you get all the facts and informations and when Uranus is doing this and what aspects is making to that. And I don't really think that that's essential, for me at least, in terms of what I'm sharing here today. So just to kind of make sure that you don't get disappointed by the end of the video and you haven't got all that information there, because I'm not going to be talking about it at all. Uranus retrograde, okay? Now, the only thing, although, that I will speak about is Uranus's connection to Mars and Uranus's connection to Pluto, and the context of our evolutionary, or the movement, should I say, of these planetary energies and how this flux is taking place for us. So I'll begin with my own personal story in itself. Uranus went retrograde yesterday, today. And the energy when a retrograde takes place, especially when a planet is stationed and then retrograde, and it's going into retrograde. So for now, Uranus has been moving direct, and then all of a sudden it stopped, and now it's going into retrograde motion. That point where Uranus, or any planet for that matter, has stopped is a very, very important point in consciousness. Okay, if it's been going direct and then it's moving retrograde, the point that it moves into retrograde, so that stationary place, will have an incredible amount of tension to it. And I see it like an elastic band that has been completely and utterly pulled to that area. And the tension is there and it lets go. And that's what happens with retrogrades or stationary planets. So in this case, we're dealing with a stationary and then moving into retrograde. So there's an incredible tension that is going to then backfire, as it were, all of the experiences that need to be understood in a deeper way. Okay, and this is what actually creates, from my point of view, the phenomena of a retrograde experience. Okay, because it seems like we're redoing stuff, we're repeating stuff. So the experience of retrograde is in relationship to this entire energy band that has been pulled through its direct motion, and then as it stations, it lets go, and then as it comes back into, as it gets let go, that's the whole entire retrograde motion. In other words, you're feeling the ramifications of the energy being pulled backwards. And it's a pressure. It's a deep pressure. And especially if you've got like a Uranus retrograde in your chart, you know, I highly recommend actually looking at SolarFire, or any program that can actually tell you when the planet went retrograde, when it went retrograde, in the context of your chart. If you're somebody that has Uranus retrograde and Uranus went retrograde 4 days ago, your capacity to understand what Uranus retrograde in your life is going to be so different to somebody that has Uranus retrograde and it's about to go direct in 3 days. That the evolutionary experience is vast, because on one hand, you've got a soul dealing with the repercussions of a retrograde that's just taken place. And then on the other hand, you've got a soul that has got a retrograde planet that has had all the experience of that retrograde and is now coming to insight. And that's what brings me on to my next thing about this, is that when the planet is stationary and it's about to go direct, that energy is filled with insight, because what's happened is it's experienced the totality of all of the time frames, all of the experiences that have happened while it's gone retrograde. So all of the bumps that it's gone over again, that's had the aha moments, well, now they've been collected. So when Uranus goes retrograde, you begin, or should I say Uranus goes direct, or any planet goes direct, you now have those insights to begin integrating into your life, which means that as it goes direct again, you implement them, and it changes your relationship to how those things are working. So this is one of the things that I was going to say about this video today, and something that I feel is very, very important for me to begin doing. Okay. And that is that I've been holding back a lot on the nature of reality as it is versus the conditioned nonsense that we choose to hold on to because it makes us feel comfortable about what we've believed in. Okay. And this is a Saturn in Sagittarius experience. Okay. And so what I mean by this is that, you know, for some of you, you'll understand what I mean. Others, this is the first time you're hearing it, so I understand how you're going to respond to this. But if you're looking at any archetype in the birth charts and you're just discovering it for yourself and you're trying to understand it for yourself, and there's this thing where you read up on the internet, Uranus retrograde means this, and you are unaware of the process that if you're Uranus, or any planet for that matter that's retrograde, is either stationary or in it's just turned retrograde, or it's in the middle of its retrograde process, or in the end. Like, you're going to take on this idea about what retrograde means. You're going to run around with this personality thinking that this is who you are. And in actual fact, it has absolutely nothing to do with it. And you're disconnected from the actual insights or experiences that will naturally and organically experience, like, manifest for you. Because we're so focused on the mental experience versus the actual embodiment of how that's feeling for you. So you're not manifesting from a place of authenticity so that that energy can actually show you what's happening. You're just going from a place of, oh, okay, this means this. And I get that. I get that as an entry-level person into the astrology, you wouldn't know that experience. So this is a video to say, when you are somebody that's new to this experience, I highly encourage you to step back from your discovery for like one day and really, 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 really ask yourself like a couple of questions. Like, say to yourself, I need to take my time with this process. I need to understand, what does it mean for me? How am I going to understand myself in a deeper way? And I feel like this is essential. Okay, and I'm not saying that you guys don't do this. I'm not saying, because I did that. I was like, oh, look, Saturn means this, and I'll just do that, run along, and then all of a sudden I realized that it has completely different manifestation to me. So it's almost as like a prevention mechanism. And that's what manifested for me, like with this Uranus retrograde experience, is that I find myself, right, not being more direct with the necessity of astrology, and really, really like blowing out all of the kind of like illusions that we have wrapped around this stuff, and that it keeps us in this idea of what astrology is versus actually directly experiencing it for ourselves. And you know, so this is me. I'm changing my whole entire vibe here, and you'll watch how it will change over raising vibrations as well, where there's going to be a lot more confrontation within my own way of expressing their archetypes themselves in my videos. So I hope that that's something that doesn't like scare you away into certain degree. In fact, I'm wanting you to come closer so that there is a more honest and a more authentic and a more respectful way of recognizing that we as human beings are a lot more complex than just a bunch of astrological definitions that are promoted on the internet because that's what it is. It's like, we need to respect ourselves in a more deeper way, that we are complex, that there is depth to us, that everybody is individual in that sense, and that one size does not fit all, that one elementary position, like for me, I have Mars square Uranus in my birth chart. On one level, that does say that yes, there will be this necessity for quick acceleration regarding fracturing and breaking free. But what does that mean for me in terms of my own story? Why? And it's that next step of being curious about how it's operating for me uniquely. That is where I feel that every one of us needs to really, really engage in astrology or engage in the self-discovery process so that it manifests our own uniqueness. Uranus retrograde, Uranus. Okay. And because Uranus is in Aries at this stage, the natural flux, the natural energy of this process is really, really awakening our need for finding our sense of individual purpose, you know, and in a more galactic cycle, a more like larger evolutionary cycle, the nature of evolution or the nature of direction where we're going in is going to need to have more independent self sovereignty in itself. You know, we're going to need to understand our sovereignty from ourselves, the self, and realizing that within our own personal journey, if we're not getting in touch with our own authority, then we're going to find ourselves being completely and utterly disempowered by external definitions and ideas about what we are and what we think we should be and what we should be doing and how we should be doing it. And this is the rules, but what is organic and natural for us? So it's that whole stimulation process. And this is a big thing. I think that when we look at the thumbnail that I created in the Uranus and the kind of coding that's at the background of the biosphere, the whole nuclear radiation picture, this is about the nature of us really, really getting real with things and saying, is this really who we are? Is our mind completely and utterly like influenced and conditioned by ideas about what we should be versus what we actually are and what's organic for us and what is your natural instincts? What is life bringing to you? These are the types of things that are essential for us to begin questioning and to actually start deconditioning ourselves from the perception of reality that we choose to have, or the illusion of the reality we choose to have that makes us feel comfortable, versus confronting some of the truths that need to be confronted. And with Mars in Scorpio and Mars, the ruler of Uranus, at the late degrees, there is this deep sort of empowering state that is merging for us, where we get to actually find a sense of liberation and breaking free and opening up around how we have been constructing ourselves in the past and what type of framework and philosophy and belief system we've been using to validate our reality, and how that process is either bringing us more flow or it is basically allowing us to live a lie, but we don't know that we're living a lie because we haven't challenged it. You know what I mean? So, for instance, what happened to me again was last month I got, for everybody that's been watching Raising Vibrations, for the new subscribers as well, I'll be doing a video separately to this to also elaborate on this process. But I've had a very, very difficult time with this idea of wanting to do evolutionary astrology monthly horoscopes, okay? And I bounce between doing them and not doing them, and bounce between doing them and not doing them. And last month I'd done them and I felt like this, I was 100% sure. I was like, this is it. I've got a way to do it. I feel comfortable and I'm going with it. This month comes along and my body's like, I have no life force. I have no excitement. I have no joy. And I've spent at least a week getting completely and utterly worried in myself because I haven't been able to do these things. Whereas it's a monthly cycle and I promised you guys I'd be doing it. And I'm like, I just can't bring myself to do it. And it sucks because it completely destroys my organic flow. But yet my mind, through what it's seen out there, has convinced me that this is what I need to do. And then I've realized that it's not who I am and I have to break that thing. And it sucks because, I'm saying to you, I'm sorry, I've tried. I really did. I really tried to do them. And when they do manifest on YouTube and I put them out over there, it's because there was organic flow. Whereas I realized I can't be doing that systematic thing. It breaks me down completely. And I'm super sorry for that. But the joy of the experiences is that whatever you get from this channel in itself is going to be completely and utterly in the moment created, that I feel is essential. And it seems to work because a lot of people tell me that this is what they wanted to hear at that moment. And I feel like I've got to honor my individuality in that process. And yet my mind tells me, you failed, you should take responsibility, you got to do this. And I'm like, what? Who makes this stuff up? So it's really, really getting in touch with what is organic for you, what is natural for you, and how does your own flow process and work? And really asking yourself, well, not asking yourself, but getting in touch with that process and honoring your individuality and allowing the next 6 months of this Uranus retrograde to honestly, like confront you, like really, really get up in your face and say, is this really true for you? Is this really true for you? Is this your own nonsense? Is this your own like illusion that you want to hold on to? Is this really how you think relationships are? Or is it just your insecurity that exists over there that you tell yourself that, etc.? And I feel that if you get in touch with that process, that not only is there going to be huge transformation through this next Uranian cycle of deconditioning, of breaking free, of objectifying, of looking back and saying, okay. And I feel like it's even about watching. It's not actually about acting in itself as well. It's actually just about watching this movie theater of thoughts and processes and ideas about what you think you should be doing. And then asking yourself, is this really it? Or is this society that's told me to do this? Or is this what my mom told me to do? Is this what my brother thinks I should be doing? Is this how I've been pressured to do this stuff? And none of it is really what I want. It's just what I've been convinced I should be doing, and getting in touch with that process and clearing that out and cleansing and purifying that stuff. Okay. All right, guys. Thank you so much for allowing me to share this video with you. I hope that your time was well spent. In the description is a link to learn your chart. Also, write your comments below in terms of what you felt about the video as well. Hit the like and subscribe button. And finally, I wanted to let everybody know that I'm going to be starting a metamorphosis program, or a metamorphosis cycle. This is a 3-month process with me, where we look at your astrology chart and we basically just have a intense opening and expansion of your consciousness in that way. And it's a very deeply transmutable process where we look at all of the things, all of the illusions, all of the things that keep you disempowered, we confront them, and then we kind of work on a way of how to shape you in a direction that is essential for you. Okay, so it's the thing that I love to do the most, apart from doing readings in itself. It's a very intense program as well. So if you're interested in that, write me an email. The price of this experience for 3 months is $1,600, which I think is completely fair in terms of what I give you in return for that process. And yeah, so if that's something that you want as well, please write me an email. Other than that, have an awesome week, guys, and I will see you soon for another video. Take care.